United, which is another approach to trying to keep young people involved in the life of the Orthodox Church. Michael, it's nice to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. So we've heard a lot of good things. We've heard a few maybe bad things. I'd like to talk a little bit about a pan-Orthodox grassroots movement that we started in the Midwest. We started in Akron, Ohio in 2013. I was on the Assembly of Bishops Youth Committee, and we were hearing from the hierarchs that they were working to get to know each other, and we on the Youth Committee were also working to get to know each other between jurisdictions. And we said we need to create some sort of event from a grassroots level where all the Orthodox young adults and youth can get together and get to know each other. So that's what we did. We started this with just a local grassroots movement, not through the assembly, and we've had success in the Midwest over the past few years, and we're putting on our fourth one this coming May. On the West Coast, we started just last year a top-down approach, and we started with asking all of the hierarchs of the West Coast through the dean of the cathedral, Serbian Cathedral in Alhambra, Father Nick Chaco, and they unanimously approved that they should have the same thing out here on the West Coast. We said, great, now let's make this happen. So we're working on collaborating with the existing pan-Orthodox events and pan-Orthodox movements going on here. I know that San Diego has a very strong young adult movement, and Los Angeles has 3 different young adult forums. Also many OCF chapters, St. Catherine's College in San Diego here. And so we're working to weave together all of these existing pan-Orthodox events, pan-Orthodox movements, and weave them into a regional collaboration here on the West Coast. The second aspect of tackling this 60% problem that Andy talked about is coming at it from an online perspective. When you look on Facebook and you search the number of people that associate themselves with Eastern Orthodox Christianity on Facebook, there are 3 million in the US. And we know that from our studies, there are about 750,000 adherents to the faith. And so that shows us that there's 2.25 million on Facebook that we're not connected with yet, that are somewhat lost. So a new initiative that we are undertaking, and it's a gargantuan task, is to reach out to those lost young adults through social media and internet ministry. We got a generous grant from the Farrer Foundation, which is an Antiochian grant-making foundation for pan-Orthodox endeavors. And we started Orthodox Voices of America, which is a short web series tailored to the youth and young adult millennial generation of only being able to watch 30 seconds at a time. So we are launching that series in the next few months, and we are working very hard to develop this online campaign with the ultimate goal of eventually producing a website that aggregates all of the different Orthodox opportunities out there for youth and young adults, including volunteering at IOCC, Real Break trips, OCF college conferences, Focus North America, the local aspects, and we want to bring that to fruition for everyone so that they can see what's going on, bringing awareness, openness, and eventually collaboration. So that's enough talking, but I will definitely entertain questions, and please let me know if you have anything.
You pretty well covered the waterfront.
Great.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
The last several years, OCL has chosen different sites for its annual fall conference and meeting, and we try to focus on various types of Orthodox organizations that are week and are doing a lot of work to bring people together. We've been to St. Vladimir Seminary. We have been to, last year we were in St. Augustine, Florida, and our meeting was with people from OCMC, the Orthodox Christian Ministry Center. And then this year we decided that we would try something totally different and come to the West Coast. And we got in touch with Ben de la Riva, who is the director of Project Mexico and the St. Innocent Orphanage, and asked if he would be willing to not host us, but share his experiences with us and actually host us tomorrow on a field trip where all the board members are going to actually go to Tijuana and visit the St. Innocent Orphanage and see the kinds of activities that Project Mexico has carried out. Now, you all know about Project Mexico here, so we're not here to tell you what that organization is and what it does, but we've asked Ben to spend some time about how they deal with issues of outreach and how they deal with issues to try and bring Orthodox together to support a very worthwhile endeavor. So Ben, I'd like to hear from you now.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Reverends, esteemed members of the clergy, ladies and gentlemen. Really happy to be here, although I realized tonight how much I didn't know, so ignorance is bliss. I'm feeling hysterically gleeful at this moment for not knowing about the larger problem that we face. My name is Ben de la Riva. I'm the Executive Director of Project Mexico and St. Innocent Orphanage. Since 1988, Project Mexico has been building homes for the poor in Mexico, and since 1996 has been providing a home for abused and abandoned adolescent boys. Most importantly, and to the point of some of the conversations here with Michael and Andy, is we bring hundreds of Orthodox Christians to Mexico every year so that they can perform works of mercy in the name of Jesus Christ. That's our model. And I hear Andy say, feed them pizza and soda. We don't do that. We feed them beans and rice. Might want to engage them via internet. We take away their internet. And basically, we put them to work. So I'd like to really just, since its inception, talk a little bit about Project Mexico. It's been exclusively supported by Orthodox, thousands of Orthodox individuals, organizations, and churches. We were founded as a pan-Orthodox organization, so ergo my gleeful bliss, because we live in a world that has very few of the political divisions that the larger world, and for that I feel completely joyful, blessed, and privileged. I'd like to share a little bit about why over the last 27 years we've been able to bring over 11,000 Orthodox missionaries to Mexico and have transformed them and connected them to their faith. You might think that the reasons that we can do that might be one of simplicity or might be intuitive, but the honest truth is, and I'm really embarrassed to admit it to all of you, is I really don't know the answer. I don't know why people go to Mexico and punish themselves and do all those things in the name of Christ. I just know that they do. Why would so many Orthodox Christians, most of them under the age of 18, set aside their social, economic, and jurisdictional differences and sacrifice a week of their life by coming to Chula Vista, a very, very spiritual hub in the southwest of the United States? Why would they venture into Mexico via Vanpool, knowing that all their phone services would be turned off and they would no longer be able to binge watch Netflix for the following week? Why would they put that aside? Why would our brothers and sisters in Christ submit themselves to 4 long days of physical labor on a construction site, modest meals of beans and rice, daily multiple prayer sessions, personal reflections that at the end of the day ultimately shine a little light on their own spiritual complacency in their lives? I believe that these things contribute to the success of our ministry and the pan-Orthodox model. Our home building volunteers, they suddenly find themselves in a very basic and uncomplicated environment, distant from the fast-paced and typical world that we all live in. And these distractions that we have on a daily basis, pull us away away from our relationship with Christ. So we remove them from that. We remove those distractions. Our days at the ranch become largely devoted to group and individual prayer, simple meals, fellowship, and the focus on the work of serving others. That's how we spend our time at the ranch. Many of the differences that typically divide us in our normal lives quickly fade away, and the linkage that rises to the surface is our unity in Christ when we work to serve others. Our discussions are focused on poverty, human suffering, and our mandate to bear the burdens of others. They make it easy to set aside all considerations, and just so that we can change the world, one day at a time, with one home at a time, by one family at a time, with unity. If there is one thing that a week in Mexico will give you, is a healthy dose of perspective of what we have and what we have been given, generously given. The education that our volunteers receive with respect to life in the third world is priceless, and it forms a fundamental basis for compassion, something that I feel is sorely lacking in this world. Mostly because we are all so concerned about our first world problems. And I think that is a place that we all can really grow in. I've heard young people to the point in reflections where they listen and they hear and they admit their shame out loud with their own words, a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, admitting that they're ashamed that they never understood how people lived in this world. And further, they go home feeling that what they have in their own home is just more than they could ever have hoped for. Ultimately, I believe that our success as a ministry is rooted in our willingness and ability to come together, putting all differences aside, and to focus on the work of serving others. That is where we find that common ground and that unity. And it happens so often in our world, and I'm very blessed for that. I've watched many groups from many different backgrounds come to Mexico with the intentions of serving others, only to find themselves being served, and to be healthy, and to be happy, and to find themselves closer to the Lord. And outside of the home building ministry, we have hundreds of communities, thousands of individuals that will do in-kind good donations, food drives, supply drives. It is across the 50 states. We are a national ministry. And we have support across the United States and Canada, multiple jurisdictions, every ethnicity you can imagine. Silver-haired ladies that write us $20 checks just because they love the act of serving those in need. I consider myself very lucky because as the executive director, I'm in a very awesome position to see the generosity that springs from the Orthodox community within the United States. We are unified communities. I see it every day. And we may not be at certain levels, but that unity is there. If you just want to step up to somebody you don't know, and you put yourself out there and you say, I want to help somebody, or I want to do this with somebody. And to Andy and Michael's point, as the executive director of Project Mexico, it has become my personal mission to address our youth problem, because we do not engage our youth as we should. Project Mexico has a very distinctive history where I have personally witnessed so many youth become anchored in their spirituality. To have it all come together within 4 days because they suffered alongside a family who had nothing compared to them, and they met 25 people that came from multiple jurisdictions, multiple ethnic backgrounds, economic backgrounds, social backgrounds, you name it. They come together for 4 days with a singular purpose, to serve a family. And that is transformational. It's permanent. So much so for the reason we have people coming back summer after summer. So my message is that we do have unity on so many levels. And while I do believe our hierarchs are responsible to some degree, and I do believe our parents, our churches are responsible, our parents have to be involved. Our fathers have to take us to church. Our mothers have to be there with us. my dad needs to take me to Mexico to go build a home. That example is what cements our children in their faith. And that is what I feel that we can do better as a community and as a country. I hope I've not been talking too long. I'm wrapping up right now here, so please forgive me. I would just offer that I believe that there's so many more communities within the United States that thirst for this unity and this love of orthodoxy. And it really just takes one person to kind of step out there and say, we can do this together. Pick something. As I tell the youth when I see them go away the night before they leave, pick something and grab your friends and work towards it. Maybe it's a local charity, maybe it's a regional charity, maybe it's a gentleman who's out of work and he needs some help. Do something. I believe that this unity that we need so desperately is rooted in our ability to come together as Orthodox Christians. To bear the burdens of others and fulfilling the law of Christ. That is where we will find our unity. I thank you so much, and I'm going to sit down because there's probably other questions, but I encourage you all to continue this quest for unity. And I can tell you from my view in the cheap seats, it's a beautiful place to be because I see it every single day. And we have the love of thousands of Americans that help us to do our mission, to take care of our boys and saints and orphanage, and to build homes for the poor in Mexico. And I thank you very much and wish you a blessed